we dug out this left-hand wing fender from our parts stash. It needs a little cleaning up, but we've got all our various brackets and things on there. Pretty obvious to see now, I think, that the apron sits on top of this. A little tweak there, we're going to have to fix that. But we do have one drama over here on this side, and somebody's done that post taking the car apart before we got it, so we're going to have to try to straighten that edge out, and that ain't going to be fun. But we'll see what we can do with it. We dug this wing out of the storage and started to see if we could fit it on the car. One would one would never know that these parts came off this car in the first place. I'm beginning to think that the running boards are not native to this car. I just have that feeling. My first inkling came when the holes in the flange on the fender didn't line up with any of the holes in the flange on the running board. So somewhere along the line somebody's filched the running boards and somebody's come up with another set that were never on the car. So that's going to make things interesting. We have this damage to the fender that we started to work out, and we've got most of it out. Doesn't look too spiffy now in bare metal. We've got a little bit of a dent here still left yet, and what it did, it pushed that in and then kind of rolled it under, so you had a crown up here. We had to work that crown down, try to work that dent out, and unfortunately with the flange behind the fender, I can't really get in there easily to work that last little bit of dent out. So we're going to have to, I'm going to try to do it once I have it on the car, so I have it attached to something. A little hard to work on that on the bench unless you clamp it down, and that's hard to do, so maybe fastening it to the car will help. I've got a little bit of a quandary, that's the right word? I don't know. I'm a little bit confused, let's put it that way. Up at that end of the fender, you have that arm that bolts to the chassis that comes up underneath the fender, and the outboard edge mounts to the marker light on top of the fender, and the headlight mounts in the middle, and I've got a huge gap between that bar and the fender. Here, I've got a huge gap here between the fender brace and the fender, and I'm sort of flush up here where the light goes, but I've got a huge gap here. Now I know that there's a pad goes in there, and I've put in an order for new pads both sides, and I even ordered the studs and nuts, even though I have some of them. I've gone this far, we might as well just put fresh stuff in there, but another $100. Hopefully that pad is about that thick, because really the only other way is to pull the fender down, and it's just almost like the arm isn't the right shape. I believe that I have them on the right side, front to left, because the holes do line up and they do have a bit of a forward arc to them, so if I put the other one over here it would be back too far. We'll just have to see. We'll just have to see. Right now I've got some bolts in there just to line things up, not really tight, and we'll see when our pads come. We'll see if we can get it to fit right. Just I'm too used to modern vehicles where in most cases everything just lines up. So, you know, the drama continues. I guess in my mind, it'd have been no big deal. Just bring the fender out and stick it on there and put the bolts in, and Bob's your uncle. But it ain't gonna happen that way. It's surprising, really. This fender has two screws underneath here. That one appears to be a wood screw that goes into the wooden framework underneath. The second one is like a 3/16, number 10, whatever it is, that just appears to go at least in through the metal panel. And I have to put some kind of a backer on there, but there's not a lot holding that fender on. And again, back at the front, you of course have the 3 points, I guess, between the marker light and the headlight of attachment. And then in the very front on the frame horn, you have some serious bolts. But I think they rely a lot on the shape of the fender to hold itself in place. And then, of course, it bolts to the running board. And the running board has 3 fasteners that go through into the woodwork underneath. But you wouldn't want to stand on that running board or sit on that fender, I can tell you that. So we'll keep tinkering away here. I know that there's a gasket that goes in between here. I think I have those. But since I'm ordering those pads, I might just order some new ones anyway. And then, of course, I have to fit the welting in between the body and the running board and the fender up here, and then in the front. And we'll see if we've got a hump here. Let's see if we can work that out one way or the other. Either drop the running board down or raise the fender up, one of the two. See if we can get them to line up a little better. We did some fiddling and some filing, and I think we're okay here. We can get this thing to line up reasonably well. I've got the rubber in there now, it's just sandwiched in there. It's not bolted in. And I've got the clamp underneath, but we've got a transition now, fairly smooth transition from the fender to the running board with the rubber seal in there, and that hides a multitude of sins as well. What I'm going to have to do is use the rubber gasket to transfer the holes into the end of the running board so that I can put the 3 bolts straight through in there and get that lined up. And I think that will be workable. Let's hope. The final work on this fender for today. We kind of worked this dent the best we could. Waited till I got it on the car there, got a little bit more of it out. I took porta power and put underneath here and pushed this out a little bit, and then worked this crown down a little bit. It's still a little lumpy in here. You can buy all the tools and you can't buy talent. So a better panel beater than me could probably make that look like brand new with no Bondo, but I think I'm going to quit while I'm ahead. We've got a few little divots here, but I think we'll work this down with the DA, and by the time we put some Bondo on there, it'll be okay. The rest of the car is not perfect, but we got this line pretty good here now, and it feels okay. We got a little divot right in here, and it got stretched pretty good, and you got to unstretch it. But I think that'll be fine. We'll see.